Look at how low Bitcoin's volatility is. This is the calm before the storm. We haven't had volatility this low literally since right here in 2019. In fact, in Bitcoin's whole history, we've only been this low in our volatility 4 other times in total. All 4 of those were the huge calm before the storm. Look at what happened for the calm before the storm here when our volatility was this low. Look at what happened next. Look at here when our volatility was that low. Look at what happened next, and here, and last but not least here. All of those instances when the calm before the storm happened and our volatility was this low, all the 4 other previous ones, the market exploded to the upside. Is that about to happen for Bitcoin? Are we about to have the huge calm before the storm that shocks everybody? Let's take a deeper dive. If you're new here, welcome in. My name is Steve, and what we do on this channel is we keep it honest with cold hard facts, and I try to help you in an honest way. There's not a lot of channels that actually try to help you, but we are one of them. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, throw a thumbs up on it, and let's jump into the video. So what we're doing is we're on the Bitcoin weekly chart. Okay, we have the NVT HV indicator here, and our historical volatility has dipped to an historic level, right? Our volatility literally in front of our eyes, there's one example where we're at right here and 4 others that were this low. We've never been this low in Bitcoin's volatility. Now, it's like anything in this world. If you have a string of sunny days in a row of 10, 12, 15, 20 days in a row of sun, what do you think is coming? The storm, right? This is the calm before the storm. Have you ever been outside and maybe on a beach and there's always wind, but suddenly on this day there's no wind and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then the next day the beach is just destroyed with a huge storm. That's the calm before the storm. This is the calm before the storm. Our volatility has only been this low 4 other times. That's just a cold hard fact. That's not my opinion that this is the calm before the storm. It's not my opinion that we have low volatility. It's a bona fide cold hard fact. Our volatility literally hasn't been this low except 4 other times in history. So why don't we explore those 4 other times in history? Why don't we look for some commonalities and we look for clues as to what's coming for Bitcoin? So let's start our journey back in January of 2013 when our volatility was remarkably low. We were at this stage in the cycle. Our volatility was this low in phase 2 of the bull, which was right here. We are currently in phase 1 of the bull. This volatility was in phase 2 of the bull. Then we fast forward to 2016. That was the other time in history which our volatility was this low. We were in phase 1 of the bull at that point of phase 1 of the bull, which is what we're in right now. The next volatility that low came in phase 2 of the bull, which represents more of what we saw in that first cycle. So far, phase 1 and phase 2 of the bull. The last one was here in March 2019, which was the very, very beginning of stage 1 of the bull, the very, very start. We were just coming out of the bear market. This was technically still in the bear market. It was right before we entered phase 1 of the bull. So that saw the 4th lowest volatility in Bitcoin's history. But we cannot deny whether you think Bitcoin's going to go up, down, backwards, forwards. If we just look at the facts are we have the lowest volatility in Bitcoin's history. There's 5 data points. So we can't argue that. We also can't argue the 4 other data points. Price rose after that, right? If you look at the data point here, it's pretty hard to argue that price crashed after this. Definitely price rose after this. It's pretty hard to argue after here that price crashed. Price definitely rose after this. It rose about 75%. We had a little correction and we kept going, right? That 75% put us in phase 2 of the bull. Phase 2 of the bull ended here and we went into the phase 3 of the bull, which was right here. And right here, it's hard to argue that this was a bad thing for Bitcoin. We rose the 4 other data points where we had this low of volatility, the 4 other times all went up. So can we say, oh, this is the 5th time, it's definitely going to go up? That would be silly. That would be silly. What we can say is this same sort of low volatility happened 4 other times, all 4 went up. Can we say that this one's definitely going to go up? No, that's not how we operate. We operate on facts. Now, the reason I bring this up is nobody's talking about the volatility at the moment. This is quite literally one of the lowest volatilities in Bitcoin's whole history. We can count it on one hand, including what's happening right now. So what we need to look for are clues. Where are we in the market cycle? Because we looked at these past ones. This was phase 2 of the bull. This was phase 1 of the bull. This was phase 2 of the bull. And this was the beginning right before phase 1 of the bull. So what we can say are these data points were not right before a big crash down. They weren't right before a bear market. They were all during the very start or in the middle of the beginning of the bull run, right? They were all right before the bull or right in the start of the bull. All of them. This was really in the beginning of the bull run. This was really in the beginning of the bull run. And this was really in the beginning of the bull run. So where are we now? We're really in the beginning of the bull run. That's where we're at. We're in phase 1 of the bull. Right? So when we're looking at it, we have to be honest with ourselves with the facts, not what we think is going to happen, not emotionally what we think is going to happen, but we have to understand that, hey, we've got pretty low volatility now. The worst case scenario is we come down to retest our base, but the bigger picture is we're in the beginning of the bull run. Even if we come down and retest our base, we are still in phase 1 of the bull. So do we have a lot to worry about at the moment? Not really. When you look at our previous one, we talked about the stochastic RSI cross on the 2-week chart, which we haven't seen yet, but we're going to see eventually. We talked about the historical volatility being really low. The big picture is, could we fall to test our base? Yes, we could. Now, here's where everyone goes wrong. Everyone will try to time that and they miss out. 95, 99% of people will miss out on that. So it's not a good strategy to try to time that. If you would have bought any time that we had this low of volatility, you would be looking pretty good, right? If you would have bought any time that Bitcoin dropped below the stochastic RSI, you would be looking good in the big picture, not as a day trader, not as a swing trader, but time and time again. We had a double dip in this chart here that we showed you last week. Every chart is saying the same thing. In the big picture, this is a time to be a long-term investor. This is a time to accumulate. You're probably not going to have a whole bunch of time to accumulate, and most people will miss out because they're trying to time the bottom. I'm showing you more evidence and more evidence and more evidence and more evidence of exactly this scenario playing out in front of our eyes. Yes, we could fall, but don't get deluded. Don't get delusional from this, oh, we could fall. Of course, we could retest our base, but the best case scenario is 48K. That's our best case scenario for this calendar year is 48K. So is Bitcoin a likely scenario that we reach 48K or likely that we crash down? That is up for interpretation. But what's better is to take a step even further back and say, okay, we're in this type of market cycle and our worst case is here, our best case is here, but we're in the beginning of the bull. I mean, anytime you're in the beginning of the bull, it's not a time to sell. It's a time to buy. Anytime we're in the beginning of a bull, right? It would be silly to have the selling mindset because we know based on the facts and the charts that the Bitcoin is oversold at the moment, just based on the facts, not anybody's emotional opinion of what they think or I think this. This is not I think. This is fact based. The market is really oversold. Fact. So while we're oversold, we're also having our lowest volatility. Fact. So if we're really, really oversold and we're having our lowest volatility, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think? So yeah, in the short term, we could go down a little bit in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Who cares? In the big picture, I think it's pretty clear as day. If not, watch this video again. It will be clear as day. So I want you to share this video. I want you to comment what do you think is going to happen. And we're going to be following it like we follow every chart. This one is going to be so exciting. Our 5th lowest volatility in Bitcoin's history. I'm pumped. I hope you are too. Do you want to know when to buy and when to sell? Click this video right now.